Hey friends, what if I told you that Donald Trump's new tax bill could quietly shift the balance between what you owe and what you keep, even if your income doesn't change by a single dollar? This isn't just about billionaires or corporations. It's about teachers, truck drivers, freelancers, young families, people like you and me. And while headlines talk about historic reform or returning to Trump-era cuts, few are actually explaining what this bill means for your wallet. So today, let's break it down, calmly, clearly, and with real-world numbers. And if this kind of deep dive into how policy touches your daily life interests you, go ahead and subscribe. That way, you won't miss what the mainstream often skips. Let's start with a simple question. Why are we even talking about this again? Well, back in 2017, President Trump passed a sweeping tax law called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. You might remember it. It lowered the corporate tax rate, doubled the standard deduction, and cut income tax rates across brackets. But here's the twist. Many of those cuts were temporary. They're set to expire in 2025. Now, Trump's campaign and many Republicans in Congress are pushing a new bill to extend those cuts and add new provisions, especially around capital gains and family benefits. But here's where it gets suspenseful. Will this actually help middle-class Americans? Or is it another gift to the ultra-wealthy, cleverly packaged as relief for you? Let's dig in. According to the current proposal, Trump's new bill would permanently extend the 2017 individual income tax rate cuts, raise the standard deduction even further, possibly from $13,850 to over $15,000 for individuals, expand child tax credits and deductions for married couples, introduce a 15% capital gains tax ceiling, maintain the corporate tax rate at 21%. So far sounds good, right? Lower taxes equals more money in your pocket, right? Not so fast. When independent analysts at the Tax Policy Center ran the numbers, they found that while high-income households would receive the largest benefit, the savings for middle-income earners would be modest, maybe a few $100s per year. Worse? If you're in the lower 40% of earners, your actual tax burden might stay exactly the same or increase due to reductions in certain refundable credits. And here's where I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What kind of monthly tax relief would actually make a difference for your family? $200, $2,000, let me know. Let's take two quick real-world examples. A single mom in Ohio earning $45,000 a year with 2 kids currently benefits a lot from the child tax credit and head of household deductions. Under the new bill, she'd see a modest gain, around $500/year. A dual-income couple in Texas earning $180,000 a year with a mortgage would get nearly $2,300 in cuts thanks to deductions on property taxes, expanded brackets, and capital gains reductions. So, the more you earn, the more you save. Plain and simple. But now ask yourself, if this is supposed to help the forgotten American, why are the richest 1% still projected to receive 1/3 of the total benefit? This brings us to the real question. How will this affect you? Luckily, there are some online tools created by independent think tanks and policy sites that let you plug in your income, filing status, deductions, and dependents to see your estimated change under Trump's new tax proposal. It's not a gimmick. These calculators use updated IRS code and bill assumptions. Try it. See what your number looks like. And when you do, think critically. Is it a meaningful savings? Or is it just political sugar dusted over structural inequality? Also, if you've made it this far, maybe consider subscribing to Mr. America. We explore not just the headlines, but the mechanics behind them, and how they play out in your bank account, your job, and your future. Now let's talk about what isn't being discussed. The bill's projected cost? Over $3.5 trillion in lost federal revenue over 10 years. That money has to come from somewhere. Either spending cuts, borrowing more, or raising taxes in other places later. And that affects all of us. Increased debt means higher interest payments. That weakens the dollar, raises borrowing costs, and could push inflation back up, especially if the Fed's interest rate strategy shifts under a second Trump term. The short-term gain might cost long-term stability. And here's another thought. Would you accept a $300 tax cut if it meant worse public services, higher tuition fees, or slower disaster relief? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters. So, What's the bottom line? Trump's new tax bill is complex, strategic, and politically charged. It offers real benefits for some, modest gains for others, and possibly nothing for millions more. But here's the question I'll leave you with. Are we being offered relief, or being distracted by it? Because in a country where 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, any tax policy should start from the bottom up, not the other way around. Here on Mr. America, we dive deep into stories that the mainstream often glosses over. If you found this helpful, reflect on it. And if you're up for more real talk, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Thanks for spending this time with me.